The monitor alarms are blaring. A surgeon makes a frantic incision, and bright, thick arterial blood bursts upward in a pulsing, uncontrollable spray. Cut. Reset. We're on a soundstage. That terrifying spray is actually being pumped through a hidden plastic tube connected to a pressurized garden sprayer, manually timed to mimic a human heartbeat. Even the fluid itself is heavily engineered. Real blood is highly opaque, but standard liquid food coloring mixed with water looks like clear fruit punch on camera. To fix this, special effects artists add chemical compounds called opacifiers, preventing the fluid from catching the light and giving it a dense, realistic texture. Achieving realism on screen requires intense chemical and mechanical manipulation from FX teams. In a clinical setting, the timeline is strictly defined. Medical professionals operate within the golden hour, the critical window immediately following a severe trauma, where rapid surgical intervention has the highest likelihood of preventing death. During this window, a patient might look completely stable right up until they crash. The human body masks the early stages of severe blood loss by triggering massive vasoconstriction, forcefully shrinking the blood vessels to keep pressure high even as the actual fluid drains away. Because of this biological camouflage, standard vital sign checks often miss the danger entirely. Instead, trauma specialists calculate the shock index by dividing the patient's heart rate by their systolic blood pressure to detect hidden hypoperfusion. When those compensatory mechanisms finally run out, the drop is steep. Looking at this graph, you can see how the flat line representing standard blood pressure stays deceptively stable, while the line tracking actual blood volume plummets well before the pressure reading actually drops. By the time standard vitals show a crash in a trauma patient, the biological systems are already on the brink of total failure. Back on the operating table, the surgeon's suction tool is entirely overwhelmed. The patient has a tear in the iliac artery, and the blood is flooding the cavity faster than it can be removed. This is a retroperitoneal hematoma. Sitting behind the main organs, this space can hoard massive internal bleeding, letting a patient drain out without external symptoms. As blood pools here, surrounding cells starve from oxygen deprivation, triggering severe systemic cellular hypoxia. To stop this cascade, the surgeon skips the complex tools and moves straight to a desperate physical intervention: manual aortic compression. This maneuver requires the surgeon to drive a closed fist directly into the patient's abdomen, pressing down with immense, sustained force just above the umbilicus to pin the aorta flush against the spine. The goal is strictly mechanical. By physically crushing that vessel, they cut off the main hydraulic line to the lower body, preserving whatever circulating blood volume is left for the brain and the heart. When internal hydraulics fail, the surgeon's physical stamina becomes the temporary mechanical barrier holding back a total circulatory collapse. Despite the pressure, the pulse disappears, and the monitors erupt into a continuous scream. Hollywood usually relies on the silent, flat line of asystole for drama, but the clinical reality of a crashing patient is often the jagged, uncoordinated peaks of ventricular fibrillation. At the cellular level, the cardiac muscle fibers are actively breaking apart. Disorganized electrical signals cause the ventricles to twitch and quiver randomly, reducing the heart's pumping action to absolute zero. This schematic shows the true function of a defibrillator. It delivers a massive electrical surge that halts the chaotic storm instantly, forcing the heart to go silent so the body's natural pacemaker can attempt a reset. The shock clears the noise. A coordinated rhythm returns to the monitor, and the patient begins to stabilize. Hollywood builds the illusion of a medical crisis using hidden tubes, pressurized tanks, and liquid opacifiers. But surviving the golden hour in a real trauma bay is a brutal, physical race against the mechanics of the human body.